What do you plan to do in the future in film and in your life?
Thank you for that question. I have two documentaries. This one, Selma Rubin, A Community of Life, and I have another one called It All Starts in the Soil. And I have to just explain to you quickly that topsoil, healthy soil, is the most valuable treasure we have, because it affects the quality of the air. Because if you have topsoil, it will sequester CO2, so it'll clean the atmosphere. It will affect the quality of ocean, because if you have healthy soil, it has these aggregates that are like sponge. So when it rains, it holds water. That means when the rain comes, it doesn't erode soil to the ocean. And a lot of times, because we have a lot of synthetic chemical fertilizers, it will take those to the ocean and damage the ocean. And also, healthy soil affects the health of, affects the health of the food which we eat, which affects us physically and spiritually. So to create healthy soil, you need compost, but compost is very time consuming and you need a lot of equipment to do that. But there are some new scientists that are doing something amazing called compost tea, or liquid compost, where they take a small amount of compost and put it in a bag and put that bag in a big container, and the vortex that machine creates, that's called GOT, will make like smoothie for the plants. So, and there are so many amazing locations, including Harvard University, that are using compost tea that has huge effects on the environment. So what I want to do is, I think there are two parts of our culture we have to work on. One is that I'm hoping that people see Selma Rubin's film and get encouraged and build examples like Environmental Defense Center or Community Environmental Council, and use the law and the power of democracy that we have to have laws that controls to protect our environment. And then It All Starts in the Soil documentary. I'm hoping to use that to encourage people to make compost tea and build topsoil that could affect the health of everything.
Thank you.
So while I had my project, I have 7 documentaries right now. The reason I have 7 documentaries is because I got funded in 30 days. I got $10,000 from 138 people. That's 80% of them I didn't know personally. They just trusted that I'm not a scam artist, I'm not going to take their money, and I'm capable of making a film. So I got that money. I went to LA. I flew from Hawaii to LA, and I went to this hotel, and I called this producer friend of mine who I knew from Hollywood when I was in Hollywood. And I said, Ross, man, I got $10,000. And he stayed quiet, and then he started laughing. He's like, you're crazy, man. Nobody made a movie with $10,000, a good documentary. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the worst reaction. So I hung up and I got on my folding bike. I did like a 40-mile bike ride, came back to the hotel, put the sheet on the floor and did like 200 push-ups because I was under a lot of pressure. And I fell on the floor and went to sleep. And I woke up at 5 and I said, that was a great phone call. I took a cold shower and I said, I'm not only going to finish this film, but I'm going to go find other stories. And once intention is everything. Once you have an intention, it will guide you to find solutions for the things you could never imagine that is out there. And then I went to this one farm, Aurelia Ranch in Gaviota Coast, and after I filmed there, Gunnar, the owner, said, you should go to this couple called John and Nadia. They have Didi's farm where they use chickens and cows who work together to build soil. They have animals as employees who work for free. And when I met them and I filmed them, they said, oh, you should go to Petaluma, Northern California. There's this guy, John Jevons, who's doing something called biointensive, which is you take 1/8 of an acre and you plant your produce as islands, meaning that you leave your produce, you grow your tomatoes, and then you have a space left for wildlife, so that all micro and macro microorganisms could live there, and then you build your so they're like planted as islands, and then you spend 6 months, half a day to maintain them, and then after that you had food. You have food for 100 years for 4 people, while maintaining the land for like half an hour a week. Then I went there and they said, you should go to Fry Vineyard. And then they said, you should go to Cafe Gratitude. And when I went back to Hawaii, after like 8 months, I ran out of money. And of course, it would be impossible without the help of the people. I got a lot of support. I had people that gave me their brand new car for a week without even knowing my last name. I had people that introduced me to a Lighthawk, which is a non-profit organization that if you have a project for the environment, they give you a private plane for 2 hours, which got me some very nice aerial shots from Gaviota Coast. And as just, people offering everything they could to help me, make these happen. So I filmed for 8 months, 8.5 months, went back to the Big Island, and sat there for a year and a half and edited all the 7 documentaries. And now I have 7 with $10,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.